are stereotypes. You either love them or you love to hate them, but either way, they're here to stay. And to be honest with you, for the most part, I try to avoid stereotypes on this channel. I try to just talk about experiences that I've had myself in Sweden or that Swedish friends have passed on to me. But today we're gonna make an exception. You guys, we're gonna jump down from the moral high ground and we're gonna dance with the devil, because today we're talking about stereotypes. Specifically, stereotypes about Sweden that the Swedes just cannot stand. So why not come along for the ride as I sort the fact from the fiction on 5 of the stereotypes that the Swedes absolutely can't stand. And there really is no better place to start this list than the stereotype that all Swedes love Abba. Yes, if you go to a handful of deliberately unnamed countries, I'm pretty sure that as soon as you say that you're Swedish or you live in Sweden, they will say to you, you must own the Abba collection on vinyl, right? Yes, if you listen to people in certain countries, they would have you believing that the Swedish music industry might as well have died with the end of Abba, because let's be honest, that is the soundtrack to everybody's lives in Sweden. They listen to it religiously. We don't need any new music. We've got Abba, and why would you try and repeat perfection? I mean, it would basically be easier for me to say, raise your hand in the comments below if you're a Swedish person and you've not been abroad and been asked the question, don't you just love Waterloo? And the people that think all Swedes are obsessed with Abba are probably the same people that also think they all drive around in Volvos and they spend every single day visiting an IKEA store. And whilst I'm inclined to debunk the first 2 parts of this stereotype for you today, I have to level with you, there might be some truth in the one about IKEA. Sure, they don't visit every day, but if you go to any of the big cities, any of the big IKEA department stores, and I'm telling you right now, it doesn't seem to matter what time of day or night, the car park is absolutely filled. Yes, if I'm being honest with you, I would have to say that Sweden is the only country that I have ever been to this day, that even pre-pandemic times, it doesn't seem to matter which day of the week, there are still people queuing outside IKEA before it opens in the morning, and then the doors open and they flood in like they're trying to rush out the country on holiday. So yes, there may be some truth in that last part, but I mean, it's IKEA. Can you blame them? The second stereotype that Swedes just cannot stand is that every Swedish person loves the cold. Yes, I can almost guarantee that nearly every single one of my Swedish viewers will have been out the country at some point and they'll have been asked the question, how can you be cold? You're from Sweden. And to be honest with you, this stereotype has less truth in it than most of the others I'm going to talk about today, because it kind of paints this image for you that in Sweden, they live in igloos with polar bears, they have no use for central heating because it just makes things too warm, and it couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, as anybody who has been to Sweden in the winter time will tell you, they love it to be toasty and warm throughout the winter months. If you go to any of the public places, any of the shops, anybody's homes, you will find it amped up to about 30 degrees in there just to keep you warm and toasty. They do not want to be getting frostbite. That said, there is a Swedish saying that when you translate it, it basically says there is no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes. But that really is the message behind this stereotype. They don't love the cold necessarily, they've just learned to cope with it. But don't just take my word for it. Pop out to Sweden at the beginning of the springtime after the sun has been absent for 2 to 3 months and look in any big town and city, and you will find the same thing. Rows upon rows of people with their back against the wall, worshipping the sunshine. They love the warmth. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The third stereotype that Swedes just cannot stand is that everybody sounds like the Swedish Chef out of the Muppets. Yes, while the Muppets was a big deal for a lot of people, one population it didn't do any favours for was the Swedes, because it gave lots of people the impression that people that speak Swedish say words like hurdy gurdy and sound like the Swedish Chef. So let's put this stereotype to bed once and for all today, guys. Hurdy and gurdy are not words in the Swedish language. The Swedish language is in fact very sing-songy, it sounds very rhythmic and very pretty to listen to, and don't believe what you've heard on the Muppets. And if you think that people in Sweden are spending their time skipping through the valleys yodeling, well then you're onto a very wrong track as well. In fact, you're playing into a totally different stereotype that we're not even getting into today. The fourth stereotype that Swedish people do not like, that just had to make my list today, is the idea that everybody in Sweden, just like in the rest of Scandinavia, is hugely wealthy. And I'm pretty sure that this stereotype comes from the reputation that both Sweden and its Nordic neighbours have for being very, very pricey places to live. So everybody assumes that if you're going to live in Norway, you're going to live in Sweden, then clearly you have to have a lot of money, you have to have hugely high wages, because otherwise you wouldn't survive. And a particular nuance of this stereotype that I myself have nearly fallen foul of right here on this channel is the idea that everybody in Sweden has a summer house. Yes, in one of my earliest videos for this channel, where sadly I was only a little bit younger and only a little bit more foolish, I perpetuated the idea that lots of people in Sweden have summer houses. And whilst I stand by that fact, I understand why a couple of people in the comment section below were quick to point out that though it is more common here to have a summer house, not everybody has one, don't mistake it. Yes, as they they were very quick to point out to me there's only about 100,000 people in the country that have a summer house. That is only a very small fraction of the population, and though I'm sure there's lots of people that share summer houses between family members, so there's probably lots more that do have access to one, it's by no means everybody. Not everyone is super wealthy and has 600 homes in the countryside. So yes, whilst I continue to stand behind my comment that summer houses are more common here in Sweden than perhaps they are in other parts of Europe, that doesn't mean that everybody's got one, nor does it mean that it's a huge stately mansion. Quite often a summer house is something that's passed down through generations, it's built by the family, it's a small cottage or a shed type building, it doesn't have to be this huge second home. And no video about stereotypes that Swedish people just do not like would be complete without talking about my fifth and final stereotype today, which is, of course, that everybody in Sweden loves and regularly eats surströmming. And for those of you that are lucky enough not to know what surströmming is, it's basically fermented fish. So it's fish that has gone old, it's gone off, it's been put in a can, it ferments, and then you eat it. And if you've smelt it, you probably don't want to put it in your mouth. In fact, I've seen some of your comments, and I know that some of you think it would be funny to make me try surströmming right here on a video. If that's what you want, you're gonna have to get this video past 200 likes. So let's put this stereotype to rest once and for all. There are plenty of Swedes that have never, and actually never want to try surströmming. Of course, there are lots of them that like it too, but it's way more common in the north of Sweden than it is in the south. In fact, I've heard from a handful of international folk who actually think that the midsummer meal or the Christmas meal here in Sweden contains that fermented fish. And I can put that to rest as well. That's not true. What they have at those dishes is actually a type of pickled herring, and it's really nice. So if you haven't tried it, don't judge until you have. So don't be misled, both pickled herring and fermented herring are things here in Sweden. One of them is eaten a little bit more than the other one, but neither of them are eaten on a weekly basis. So you're not going to be having either of them on your toast in the morning. And there you have it. They're 5 of the stereotypes that Swedish people just wish you would stop using straight away. I'm sure there's plenty more that I could have used or I could have talked about. So if you're Swedish yourself, jump down in the comment section below and let me know what else is it that you just wish people would stop saying. And I can't believe that I even put this challenge out there, but as I said earlier on in the video, if you would like me to try surströmming here on this channel, you're going to have to get this video to at least 200 likes. Believe me, it is worth it for the pain you're about to put me through. As I said before, if you smelt this dish, you will know why I'm so skeptical. But that said, we've reached the end of another video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that below and then turn on that notification bell. Then you'll be the first person to know as soon as I put out a new video, which would be awesome. As I say, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you again very soon in a new video. See you later, guys.